we just talked about willpower and how you only have so much of it. So how do you use it well? And one of the ways, well, let's invert that. Okay. So ask the opposite question. How do you not use it well?
Use it all up in the morning?
Well, use it all up in the morning and use it all up on things that you can prevent. Okay, so let's say you are on a diet, like so many people around the world, want to lose a little weight, and one of the things that you really love in the morning is a cup of coffee and a couple of very large glazed donuts. Okay? And you figure out that, if you stop eating the donuts, that will probably help. Fair enough. Okay? Is it intelligent? Let's say you still have a box of donuts that are around the house, or that are at work on your desk.
Right.
Is it smart, if you don't want to eat donuts, to have a box of large glazed donuts, sitting within arm's reach?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay? This is a concept called structural determination. Okay? Which basically says that the structure of your environment, the things that you see around you, play a huge role in your behavior.
Definitely.
There's a wonderful quote by Steve Pavlina, who wrote Personal Development for Smart People. It's on the reading list. He says, your environment will eat your goals and plans for breakfast. Which is true. If your environment is not conducive to you doing what you want to do, then you're probably not going to be able to do it. Your environment is an extremely strong force in your behavior. And so one of the best things that you can do if you want to change your behavior is to change your environment.
Totally makes sense.
So if you want to go on a diet and you don't want to eat donuts, throw the donuts away. And that way, you don't have to exert willpower to eat a donut that's not there.
Right.
If they were there, and you'd
have a struggle.
Yeah. Right. It's the same thing. They actually talk about this in Alcoholics Anonymous, of all places, where they talk about, a person who has decided to give up drinking.
Right. Don't go to the bar.
Don't go to a bar.
Right.
And, importantly, and this is more common than I would have believed at first, but sometimes it's not at all uncommon for people to, keep a small bottle of alcohol in the bottom of their desk to test their willpower or to test their resolve. And what Alcoholics Anonymous teaches is that that's the stupidest thing that you could ever do, really. Yeah. It's not testing your resolve, it's weakening your willpower because it's there.
And you have that battle all day long.
And that is one of the best ways to relapse. And so, but if you actually follow, that advice and change your environment, make it easy for you to do the things that you wanted to do, then it becomes much easier to change your behavior. Good example for us, a number of years ago, we decided to experiment with a full vegan diet. And we did that for 3 years? A little over?
Yep.
And we were expecting it to be a rough transition.
But it really wasn't.
It really wasn't.
Also, I think a lot of it was because we moved to New York City the very same month that we decided to do this. So it was like whole new kitchen. We didn't have a bunch of old meaty dairy things. Our whole pantry was vegan, so what we ate was vegan.
Right. And the only time we had to exhibit any sort of willpower was when we went to the store. And so we went to a store that had mostly just the stuff that we wanted to eat anyway. And then, going out at a restaurant that was not vegan, which was no big deal.
Yeah.
But because so little willpower was involved.
Right.
I didn't have mozzarella cheese sticks in the refrigerator. When I was hungry, we had carrots and hummus.
Right.
And so I ate carrots and hummus and it was great.
Right.
But because we had altered our environment so much, the behavior actually came relatively easily.
Right. So it's like using your willpower points when they're easy to direct.
Yeah.
Would you say? Okay. That makes sense.
Another good, and this is actually a literary example, but many of us have read the Iliad and the Odyssey in school. And so Odysseus or Ulysses, when they're sailing past the rock where all the sirens are, representing temptation.
Right.
What did he do?
He tied himself.
He tied himself to the ship's mast.
Right.
And, the rowers, I think they were blindfolded and they put beeswax earplugs in.
Right.
Okay, so they altered their environment so they weren't tempted. And then Odysseus or Ulysses needed to have some of his faculties to tell them where to go, but so he didn't follow temptation. He tied himself to the ship's mast.
So if you can't get rid of the donuts, handcuff yourself to your desk.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what you used to do. But, it's a good example and, also good proof about how this concept has been around for a long, long time and it works really well.
Yeah.
If you want to either have a specific behavior or avoid a behavior, change your environment to make it conducive. And so that prevents you from wasting your limited willpower on all of these things that could deplete it.
Right.
It makes far more sense to use your willpower to change your environment once than to use it over and over and over to avoid a temptation or a behavior or whatever.
Absolutely makes sense.
That you could just as well remove.
Cool.
So that is structural determination.